Good evening, traveler. Welcome to a quiet journey with the Sleepy Traveler, where we wander far from the noise of your day into hidden corners of the world and drift gently into dreams. Tonight, I want you to imagine yourself sinking into the dense green heart of the Amazon rainforest, where vines grow so thick they look like walls, where birds sing even at dusk, and where the air feels heavy and alive. You've already put your phone away, your head rests against your pillow, and the outside world, the one of to-do lists and bright screens, is finally fading behind you. Now, close your eyes if you'd like, and picture yourself as a quiet explorer, a traveler just like me, on the brink of a discovery that has been waiting patiently for thousands of years. For centuries, people whispered stories about a hidden city deep in the Amazon, a city older than the tallest trees, swallowed by time and leaves, a place built over 2,500 years ago, where a thriving civilization lived and flourished, farming the unusually rich volcanic soil, building grand temples and staircases, carving patterns into stone. Then quietly, they vanished, leaving behind only moss-covered ruins. Tonight, I will take you there. We'll begin our walk just after sunset. The last warm colors of the sky have melted into deep blues and purples, and the air smells of damp earth and flowering vines. A faint path leads you through towering trees, their trunks thick and dark, with branches woven together so tightly that even moonlight struggles to shine through. Your footsteps are soft, muffled by moss. Somewhere far off, you hear the low rumble of a waterfall and the distant cry of a night bird. The forest seems alive around you, but welcoming, as though it remembers this city and is glad to have you here. Through the undergrowth, you glimpse the first stones, a staircase, impossibly steep, reaching up into darkness. You follow it without hurry, letting your hand brush the ancient carvings etched into each worn step. The scent of rain lingers here, and a faint breeze brings the smell of wet stone and jungle flowers. At the top of the stairs, the jungle opens to a wide, hidden clearing. The lost city stretches out before you, a breathtaking expanse of temples, terraces, and pyramids rising from the earth, all wrapped in vines and crowned by trees. A volcano looms quietly in the distance, its shadow falling over the city like a sleeping giant. And yet, even after all these centuries, the stones still hold warmth from the day's sun. The city feels alive, waiting. Tonight, traveler, you and I will wander through these streets. We'll explore its great plazas and quiet corners. We'll listen for the whispers of its former inhabitants, families who built their lives here, who watched the volcano with both awe and fear. We'll imagine what it felt like to wake each day in this city of stone and green, until the day it was left behind to be swallowed by the forest. Don't worry about finding every answer tonight. You don't need to know why the people left, or what stories these stones could tell if they could speak. Tonight is not about knowing. Tonight is just about being here. Let your thoughts slow down. Let the jungle air settle around you, soft and warm. Let the quiet rhythm of the forest guide your breath. You are here now, in a city that was hidden for millennia, waiting for someone just like you to wander into its embrace. When you're ready, we'll begin our journey through its 6 chapters, each one a step deeper into the dream of this place. Chapter 1: The Stairway Through the Canopy. You stand at the base of the stairs where the forest floor begins to rise. The last light of day is gone now, leaving only a muted glow above the trees and the faint shimmer of stars appearing between the branches. Ahead of you, the stones climb upward, steep and silent, half swallowed by moss and vines. There is no sound but the soft hush of leaves shifting overhead and the distant murmur of water. The stones wait. You place your hand on the first step, cool, rough with time, and begin to climb. One step, then another. The air thickens as you ascend, fragrant with damp earth and something faintly sweet. The bloom of flowers that only open at night. Your feet find their rhythm, quiet on the worn stone. Somewhere high above, a bird calls once, then falls silent. The stairway narrows quickly. On either side, the jungle presses closer. Trunks so wide and old, you can hardly see around them. Their roots twist under and over the stones, as if trying to reclaim the path entirely. You pause, running your fingers along a carving at your side. A bird etched into the stone, its wings stretched toward the sky. The grooves are shallow now, worn smooth by centuries of rain, but the shape remains. You climb higher, and the canopy thickens until moonlight only filters through in faint, silvery ribbons. The air is cooler here, heavy with mist. Each breath tastes green. The steps grow steeper. You steady yourself with your hands, feeling vines brush against your skin, damp and cold. Ferns grow in thick clusters between the stones, soft fronds curling over your feet. Your pulse slows to match the rhythm of your climb. Above, the staircase disappears into shadow, but you keep moving. You notice more carvings now, stars along one step, flames along the next, and further still, a circle that might once have been the sun. The patterns are everywhere once you start seeing them. You wonder who made them, how many hands it took to carve so much into stone, and how long they must have stood here, watching, as everything else changed. After a while, you stop to catch your breath. Below you, the forest stretches like a dark sea, endless and alive. The faint glow of the clearing you left behind is already gone, hidden by layers of leaves and branches. Above you, the staircase seems to rise straight into the stars. You climb again, slower now. Each step feels easier than the last, though the air grows colder and the mist thicker. Somewhere off to your right, a branch snaps. You glance toward the sound but see nothing, only the stillness of the forest, the shimmer of dew caught in moonlight. The carvings on the stones grow more elaborate. Figures dance along the edge of one step, hands raised to the sky. Birds with long tails chase each other across another. And here, the volcano itself, looming, its peak shrouded in spirals of smoke and cloud. You reach a landing, a wide flat space cut into the hillside where the stairway flattens for a moment. A great stone archway stands there, half swallowed by vines, draped in ferns and moss. It's taller than you expect, the carvings even deeper here. Stars, birds, flames, and always that volcano, carved in quiet reverence. You pass beneath the arch. The air beyond is different again, cool and still, the scent of rain stronger now, as though a storm has passed through. You pause at the center of the landing, resting your hand on the stone, feeling how smooth it has grown over time. Beneath your palm, you imagine it faintly warm, though perhaps it's just the heat of your own skin against the stone. You sit for a moment, letting yourself breathe here. The forest murmurs all around you, leaves shivering in the wind, something small rustling through the undergrowth, the steady whisper of water far away. When you look back, the path you've climbed has already melted into the darkness. You can see nothing of the clearing below, nothing of where you began. Only the forest and the stones remain. When you stand again, you follow the final stretch of the stairway, narrower now, winding upward through thick curtains of vines. The steps are cracked and uneven, but your feet find them easily, one after another. You notice how quiet everything has grown. No birds, no branches breaking now, just the faint hiss of wind through the canopy and the waterfall's distant breath. One last step, and then you're at the top. Here, the staircase ends in another landing, a broad, flat stone where the forest finally opens. Before you stretches the city. For a long moment you stay still, letting your eyes adjust, letting the sight settle around you. The ruins glimmer faintly under the moonlight, a tangle of terraces and walls, pyramids and plazas, buildings draped in vines and crowned with trees. The volcano stands behind it all, dark and massive, its peak hidden in cloud. The air smells of stone and ash, of rain and something faintly floral. The city seems to breathe beneath the stars. You cross the landing and rest your hands on the low wall at its edge. The stone is cool and damp under your fingers, but steady. The carvings whisper faintly, though you can't quite catch the words. Below, the city sleeps, and you, for the first time, feel you've stepped outside of time entirely. You sit on the edge of the landing, feet dangling just above the first of the plaza stones. The moon hangs full above the volcano now. You close your eyes, and the stairway through the canopy seems to sigh, as though it has been waiting for you all along. You rise slowly from the edge of the landing. The stones are cool under your palms, faintly slick from the dew that's begun to settle on everything. You draw a long, steady breath as your eyes take in the city below. a vast expanse of terraces and walls, soft under the moonlight, its quiet broken only by the distant rhythm of the waterfall and the occasional whisper of wind through the trees. The stairs are behind you now, hidden in the shadows. The archway feels far away already. Ahead, the city waits, silent but not asleep. You can almost feel it, watching, not unkindly, just watching. Your feet find the first stones of the plaza, uneven and cool, each one shaped by time and rain. Vines curl over them, glinting wet and dark in the silver light. A single red flower blooms right in the center of your path, its petals still cupped shut for the night, as if guarding its secrets. You step around it, careful not to disturb it. The plaza stretches out wide and quiet before you. The stones here are larger, flatter, worn almost smooth in places. You imagine thousands of feet crossing this space long ago. People carrying baskets of fruit and clay jars of water. Children chasing each other between the walls. A dog barking in the distance. All of it swallowed now by the hush of the forest. You walk slowly to the center of the plaza. Here, the moonlight pools brightest, casting the ground in pale silver. You look up dash, and there it is, the pyramid. It rises out of the center like the spine of the city, steep and angular, its sides alive with vines and orchids. The stone glows faintly in the moonlight, and the top seems to pierce the stars themselves. You stand at its base for a while, head tilted back, watching how the light plays across the carvings etched into each stair. The figures climb up the sides, lines of birds with outstretched wings, flames curling higher and higher, and the ever-present volcano, watchful even here. You place your hand against the bottom step and feel the faint chill of stone and shadow. Beyond the pyramid, the city stretches out in all directions. To the left, long terraces step down toward what must have been gardens once, now tangled with ferns and flowering vines. To the right, buildings lean against each other, their walls cracked but still standing, roofs long since lost to time. You wander toward the terraces first. The path is narrow and choked with vines in places, but you slip between them easily. The ground underfoot is soft with moss here, and small flowers bloom in delicate clusters along the edges. You crouch at the edge of a terrace and run your fingers through the soil. It's dark and rich, almost black. You remember hearing once that volcanic ash makes the ground fertile, that it feeds everything it touches. You wonder if that's why the city grew so strong and why it disappeared. The terraces are quiet now, but you can almost see what they might have looked like. Neat rows of maize and beans, children weaving through the stalks, the smell of smoke drifting up from cooking fires. You stand again and walk further, past a tangle of roots that look like twisted ropes. The path takes you toward a cluster of buildings, their walls worn but upright. You step through a low doorway into one of them. The air inside is cooler, darker. Your eyes adjust to find carvings still visible on the interior walls. Spirals, birds, and stars etched into the stone. The floor here is carpeted in moss, and tiny white mushrooms grow in the corners. You press your palm to the wall and feel how smooth it is compared to the rough stones outside. The air smells faintly of stone and rain. You move to the next room, and the next. Each one feels slightly different. Some small and plain, others larger, with columns and raised platforms. In one, you find a shallow bowl carved into the floor, still filled with water from a recent rain. A single petal floats there, red and delicate against the dark surface. You kneel there for a long moment, watching it spin slowly in the quiet. When you step back outside, the moon is higher now, casting longer shadows over the plaza. You walk toward the far side of the square, where a row of tall stone pillars lines the path like sentinels. Each pillar is carved differently, one with flames curling toward the top, one with birds, one with stars, and another with a figure standing alone, arms outstretched toward the volcano. The volcano itself looms above the city even now, its dark peak hidden in the clouds. You can feel its presence everywhere, a steady, quiet weight pressing down over everything. You wonder how many nights the people here stood just where you're standing now, watching for smoke, waiting to see if their god would sleep or wake. You keep walking, your fingers brushing each pillar in turn as you pass. The carvings catch faint glimmers of moonlight, and for a moment you think you see movement, not in the stone, but in the shadows beyond. You stop, but when you look again, there is nothing, just the city, just the night. You find another pathway leading away from the plaza, narrow and winding, its stones cracked and tilted by time. It pulls you between more buildings, past another terrace, through a quiet corridor lined with low walls. Here, the sound of the waterfall grows louder, a steady hush like a heartbeat. You follow the sound without thinking, letting it guide you. The path ends at the edge of a steep drop, where the land falls away and the forest stretches out below. And there, in the distance, you see it, the waterfall, white and silver in the moonlight. It spills down the rocks in ribbons, mist rising to catch the light like drifting stars. The sound fills the air, soft but steady, as though the city has been singing all along, and you're only just now hearing it. You sit at the edge for a while, watching the water tumble and fall, feeling the cool mist on your skin. You rest your hands on the stones and close your eyes. The air here smells of water and stone, the forest sighing faintly in the distance. You feel the rhythm of the city under you, still awake, still alive in its quiet way. You let yourself lean back, resting against the wall of the path, the stone warm beneath your shoulder. The stars are sharp above the volcano now, glinting like tiny fires. For a moment, a long, quiet moment. It feels as though nothing has changed. Not here, not in this place. The city breathes, and you breathe with it. You imagine the people here once, standing where you are now, their faces turned to the stars, their voices rising above the waterfall's roar. You wonder what prayers they whispered, what dreams they carried, and you think, maybe they never really left. Maybe they're still here, in the hush of the plaza, in the quiet strength of the pyramid, in the faint scent of ash on the wind. Maybe they've been waiting all along. You let your eyes close, the roar of the waterfall slipping into the rhythm of your breath. The stones hum faintly beneath you. The air is cool on your face, soft on your hands. The city is awake, and it does not ask anything of you, not now. It only asks that you stay for a while and listen. When you're ready to rise again, there will be more to discover. The temple walls still waiting to tell their stories, but here, for now, you let yourself rest. The city holds you gently, alive with memory, alive with quiet. You sit on the stones and feel it all. The waterfall, the volcano, the carvings, the hush. You don't need to move yet. There is nowhere else you need to be. The city has waited this long. It can wait a little longer. Chapter 3. Whispers in the Temple. You rise from where you've been sitting, the waterfall's sound still humming in your chest. For a while, you stand at the edge of the path, letting the mist settle in your hair, feeling the weight of the city wrap around you like a soft shawl. Behind you, the moonlight glints off the stones of the plaza, quiet and silver. Ahead, the pyramid still waits, its peak sharp against the stars, its sides veined with vines and shadows. But tonight, it's not the pyramid that draws you. It's the temple at its base. You turn, your steps light now, the stones underfoot familiar, almost welcoming. The pathway curves back toward the plaza, through a narrow corridor lined with broken walls and half-toppled columns. Here, the air is cooler again, more still. The smell of moss and old stone deepens, sweetened faintly by something floral you can't quite name. You follow the faint path around the far side of the pyramid. The moon casts long fingers of light through the gaps in the canopy above, spilling over the stones in shifting patterns. The carvings here grow denser, more intricate. Figures upon figures etched into the walls, some with arms raised toward the sky, others kneeling, their heads bowed. You pause by one carving dash. A line of people carrying jars, their feet bare, their eyes fixed on the volcano above. Even worn as they are, you can still see the care in their faces, the curve of each hand. It feels alive somehow. You round the last bend, and there it is, the temple. It sits low against the base of the pyramid, a long, dark building half covered in vines, its roof collapsed in places, its great doorway open and waiting. The air here changes again, cooler, heavier. A faint draft flows out from the doorway, carrying the scent of damp stone and something faintly metallic, like rain on rock. You stand for a moment at the threshold. The moonlight falls just short of the entrance, leaving the doorway black and quiet. Your fingers brush the carvings along the frame. Stars spiraling upward on one side, flames curling downward on the other. Between them, a circle of birds. Always the birds. You step inside. The air is thick and still. At first, you can see almost nothing. Just faint outlines of pillars and the soft glint of moisture on the floor. But as your eyes adjust, the space begins to open around you. You walk slowly, letting your fingers trail along the walls as you move. The stone is smooth here, colder than outside. The carvings continue, denser now, almost layered one over the other. There are no windows, only narrow slits high in the walls where faint moonlight spills in, catching on specks of dust that drift like tiny stars. Your footsteps sound different here, muffled, swallowed quickly by the thick air. You take another step, then stop. You could swear you heard something. A faint murmur, low and rhythmic, like a voice. But when you hold your breath, it's gone. Only the quiet, only you. You move deeper into the temple. The walls close in for a moment, then open again into a wider chamber. Here the ceiling rises higher, the walls painted faintly with traces of color that time hasn't yet erased. You tilt your head back and see the remnants of a mural above. A great circle of stars surrounding the volcano, its peak wreathed in smoke. At its base, dozens of tiny figures dance in a ring, their hands lifted, their feet caught mid-step. The floor here is smoother, worn by generations of feet. In the center of the room lies a low platform, its edges carved with flames and birds. On top, a shallow basin, filled with water so still it looks like glass. You step closer, and the water catches the faintest glimmer of moonlight, reflecting not just the roof above, but the stars beyond it. For a moment, it feels impossibly deep, as though you could fall straight through to the sky on the other side. The whisper comes again, software faint, like the brush of fabric or the breath of wind through leaves. But there is no wind here. You straighten, listening. It seems to come from the walls themselves. A low, murmuring rhythm, just on the edge of understanding. You turn slowly, and the carvings catch the moonlight in strange ways, as if shifting just slightly when you aren't looking. Figures lean toward you. A woman with her hand over her heart, a man crouched in prayer, a line of children running, all etched in stone but alive with shadow. You close your eyes for a moment and let the sound wash over you. It feels familiar somehow. Not words, not exactly, but something. Something you're meant to hear. You open your eyes again and move deeper still. The far end of the chamber is narrower, the carvings more chaotic now, as if the stories here were told in a rush. Stars and birds and flames tangled together, the volcano at the center of everything. The walls curve slightly inward here, and the air grows colder still. You see another basin, this one empty, but for a thin layer of ash at its bottom. You reach down, run your fingers through it. It's soft, almost silky. The faint smell of smoke clings to your skin. Above you, the ceiling bears one final carving. A single bird, wings outstretched, its beak open in silent song. You stare at it for a long time, until the lines blur and you swear it moves. The whispers rise again, a little louder now. Not frightening, just insistent. Like a lullaby half remembered, like a memory. You close your eyes and lean back against the wall, letting the cool stone steady you. You imagine the people who once stood here, their voices filling the space, hands lifted to the stars, their songs spilling out into the night. The air hums faintly around you, and the carvings seem to exhale. You breathe with them, slow and deep. The sound grows softer again, fading into the hush of the room. You open your eyes, and the basin glows faintly in the moonlight, the ash shimmering like stars. The carvings above you stand still again. The bird quiets, the air settles. You stand and run your hands once more along the walls as you walk back toward the doorway, tracing the stories you still don't quite understand. The stone is cold, but it doesn't feel unfriendly. It feels patient. It feels like it has all the time in the world. At the threshold, you turn back one last time. The chamber lies quiet behind you, the basin still glimmering, the walls still humming faintly, the bird still waiting. You step back into the night air. The moon has shifted in the sky now, its light softer, spilling over the plaza like liquid silver. The waterfall hums in the distance. The volcano looms beyond, a quiet shadow. You breathe in deeply, the smell of rain, of stone, of ash, the faintest sweetness of night-blooming flowers, and the whispers still echo somewhere at the edge of hearing. Not gone, just waiting. You rest your hands on the cool stones outside the temple, and for a long time you stand there, letting the city hold you, letting the quiet settle around you. Somewhere deep in the walls behind you, the stories continue. The songs, the prayers, the quiet conversations of 1,000 years. You walk slowly across the plaza, your feet finding the rhythm of the stones again. You glance once more at the temple, its doorway dark and still, and feel the faint hum in your chest. The city remembers, and now, so do you. Chapter 4. The Gardens of Ash. You leave the temple slowly, the cool stone doorway fading behind you as you step back into the open air. The plaza greets you again, still and silver in the moonlight. The pyramid rises to your left, dark and silent, its sharp edges softened now by shadow. You pause and let the night settle over you, the air heavy with the scent of damp leaves and faint ash. Ahead of you, a narrow path veers off from the plaza, its stones cracked and half hidden beneath vines and moss. You notice faint markings on the ground, grooves worn into the stone by centuries of footsteps, barely visible now under the creeping green. The path beckons you forward, into a part of the city that feels both more wild and more tender. The gardens wait. You begin walking, and the sounds of the plaza fall away behind you. The murmur of the waterfall grows softer with each step, replaced by the faint whisper of leaves shifting in the breeze. Here, the walls are lower, their stones scattered and overtaken by roots. Tall trees press in on either side, their branches arching overhead like a great green cathedral. The air feels warmer here. The scent changes, richer, sweeter, like flowers you can't yet see. You take another step and feel the ground change underfoot. Still stone, but softer, with soil spilling up through the cracks. You pause and kneel, running your fingers along the earth. It's dark, almost black, and when you lift your hand, the scent of ash lingers faintly on your skin. The gardens begin here, but they don't look like any garden you know. You follow the path as it widens into a series of terraces, each one stacked slightly lower than the one before, like giant stone steps cascading into the forest. On the first terrace, vines drape over broken walls in thick curtains, their leaves broad and waxy, glinting silver in the moonlight. Flowers bloom between the stones, tiny bursts of purple and yellow and white, their petals cupped as though holding moonlight itself. You lean closer and see delicate ferns growing in clumps, their fronds unfurling like green feathers, each tipped with a bead of dew. The air here is alive with scent, sweet and earthy, with just a hint of something smoky beneath it. You walk slowly to the edge of the terrace and look down. Below you, the next level blooms even more wildly, with larger flowers and thick moss carpeting the stones. Long tendrils of vine reach up from below, curling toward you like fingers. You make your way down to the next terrace. The path here is narrower, the steps almost hidden beneath a tangle of roots and blossoms. You move carefully, letting your fingers trail over the carvings that still peek out between the plants. Stars and birds, their edges softened but not erased. On this level, the flowers are larger, their petals open wide in the moonlight, each one glowing faintly as though lit from within. You see clusters of white blooms with delicate fringed edges and deep red flowers that look like bursts of flame against the green. You pause and crouch near one, feeling the warmth of the stone beneath it, the way the petals quiver in the faint breeze. It almost seems to breathe. You continue, each terrace revealing more. On the third level, you find a small fountain at the center of the stones. Its bowl cracked, but still holding water, filled with fallen petals and tiny insects skimming the surface. The water reflects the stars above, broken only when a petal drifts across it. You sit by the fountain for a while, resting your hand on the rim, watching the petals turn lazily in circles. The sound of the water is faint but steady, a soft trickle that seems to echo off the stones around you. When you stand again, you notice the ground here is dusted with ash, a thin grey layer that settles into every crack, clinging to your fingers when you touch it. It doesn't feel harsh, more like a memory, a quiet reminder of the volcano's gift and its danger. The next terrace opens wider than the others, its stones cracked but still holding the shape of the original garden. Here, the plants grow even more wildly. Ferns as tall as you are, thick vines weaving between tree trunks and walls, flowers spilling over every edge. You walk slowly through it, letting your hand drift over the leaves and petals as you pass. Everywhere you look, the stones are barely visible, hidden beneath green and color and life. But if you watch closely, you can still see the old paths between the terraces, still feel the quiet order beneath the chaos. You imagine the people who once walked here, their bare feet on the stones, their hands carrying baskets of fruit or flowers, their laughter rising into the air. You stop and close your eyes for a moment, and it almost feels as though they're still here, moving just out of sight, their footsteps soft on the moss. At the far end of the terrace, you find a low stone bench, half buried beneath vines. You sit, brushing away a few stray leaves, and rest your hands on the cool surface. The moonlight filters down through the canopy above, casting shifting patterns over the ground, the flowers swaying gently in the breeze. You lean back slightly, letting the scent of the garden fill your lungs. Sweet and smoky, earthy and alive. From here, you can see the volcano again in the distance, its peak dark against the stars, its shadow stretching over the gardens like a watchful guardian. The ash that once fell here nourished the soil, made it rich and dark, fed these plants that have overtaken the stones. But you wonder how much ash it took before the people decided to leave, if they left at all. You rise and wander toward the lowest terrace. The air feels warmer here, almost heavy, and the scent of flowers grows stronger, thick enough to taste. The stones here are completely covered now, the ground soft underfoot, carpeted in moss and petals. You see a tree in the center, its trunk massive roots curling out like veins through the garden. Around its base, flowers bloom in a perfect circle, white and red and gold. You sit at the foot of the tree, leaning against its warm bark. Above you, the canopy parts just enough for you to see the stars, bright and sharp in the dark sky. The volcano looms beyond them, silent and still. The garden hums faintly around you. The quiet chorus of leaves rustling, petals shifting, roots stretching slowly beneath the earth. You close your eyes and rest your palm against the tree. The bark is rough but steady, its heartbeat slow and strong under your hand. You imagine the people once gathered here, hands in the soil, planting, harvesting, singing quietly to themselves. You imagine the ash falling softly over everything, dark at first, but then sinking into the earth, feeding the roots, turning the soil black and rich. You wonder if they knew even then that it would also be their undoing. You lean back against the tree and let yourself sink into the quiet. The flowers sway gently around you, their petals catching the moonlight. The air feels soft and alive on your skin, the scent of ash and bloom mingling in every breath. You sit there for a long time, watching the stars, listening to the faint whisper of the volcano beyond. You can almost hear the garden speak, not in words, but in the creak of the branches, the sigh of the vines, the hush of petals falling to the ground. You don't need to understand what they're saying. You only need to listen. When you finally stand again, you brush the petals from your lap and take one last look around. The terraces stretch above you now, layers of green and stone and shadow. The paths are still faintly visible, and the quiet hum still fills the air. You follow the path back upward, your steps slow, your hands brushing the walls and flowers as you pass. The ash still clings to your fingers, but it feels softer now, like memory more than dust. At the top, you pause and glance back once more. The gardens lie still, the terraces glowing faintly in the moonlight, the flowers swaying like they're breathing. You turn toward the plaza. The path ahead is waiting. The temple walls have spoken their whispers. The gardens have shared their quiet secrets, and the city still holds more. Chapter 5. The Shadow of the Volcano. The gardens fade behind you as you climb the last terrace, their scent of ash and bloom still clinging faintly to your clothes, to your hands. The air feels cooler here, more open. Above you, the stars stretch brighter now, sharp pinpricks scattered across the dark. And beyond them, looming higher than the city, higher than the clouds, the volcano waits. You stop at the edge of the plaza, where the stone path splits into two directions. One path returns to the pyramid and its temple, to the carvings and whispers already known. But the other winds upward, away from the city, into the steep hillside that climbs toward the mountain itself. You choose the second. Your feet find the stones easily now, your body remembering their rhythm, your breath quiet and steady as you begin to climb. The path here is narrower, its stones cracked more deeply, many swallowed entirely by soil and vines. The slope steepens almost at once, the forest falling behind you with every step. Here the air grows colder, thinner somehow, and carries with it a faint edge of smoke. You glance back once and see the city below, its terraces and plazas faintly lit by the moon, its pyramid casting a long shadow over the stones. The gardens shimmer faintly, flowers catching the light, their terraces stacked like quiet waves of color. And further still, beyond it all, the waterfall sparkles in the distance, white ribbons tumbling into the dark forest below. You turn forward again and keep climbing. The forest begins to thin. The massive trees that had pressed close around you before stand farther apart now, their trunks streaked with ash, their branches bare in places, their roots twisted over sharp rock. The moonlight spills more freely here, illuminating the path ahead in patches of silver and shadow. The ground underfoot crunches faintly, stone dust and loose gravel, and the air smells more strongly of something dry and metallic, something that reminds you of fire. You pause, resting a hand on a low boulder that rises at the edge of the path. The rock is cool and rough, but when you draw your hand back, you see a faint smear of black powder on your skin. Ash. You continue climbing. The path curves now, wrapping around the slope in a long, spiraling ascent. The city falls completely out of sight behind you, hidden by the shoulder of the mountain and the thickening mist. Here, the wind picks up, gentle at first, then stronger, rattling the branches of the sparse trees and tugging at your hair. It smells of stone, of cold earth, of something older than memory. You slow your steps, letting your fingers drift over the stones at your side. Even here you find carvings, faint and worn, but still there. Stars, birds, spirals, flames, etched into boulders that have stood through centuries of wind and ash. You wonder who climbed this path before you, who carved these markings, what they were hoping to find when they stood at the mountain's peak. You reach another landing, a broad, flat stretch of stone that juts out from the slope, overlooking the dark forest below. You sit here for a moment, letting your legs dangle over the edge, feeling the wind tug at your clothes. From here, you can just barely see the city again, its terraces glowing faintly far below, the pyramid a sharp black triangle against the stars. The gardens look smaller now, their bright flowers just soft smudges of color in the dark, and the volcano looms closer than ever, its peak still hidden by clouds, its shadow stretching down the slope to meet you here. When you stand again, You find the path steeper, the stones sharper, their edges jutting through the earth at strange angles. The trees are fewer now, and those that remain stand like skeletal figures, their branches stripped bare, their bark blackened. The air here is colder still. The wind whistles low through the rocks, carrying fine dust that sparkles faintly in the moonlight. You step carefully now, feeling the ground shift slightly underfoot. Stones grinding softly with each movement. The carvings grow denser as you climb. Here they cover entire boulders, overlapping shapes of stars and flames, the volcano rendered again and again, its slopes etched with tiny figures of people, their arms raised toward it in supplication. You stop at one of these stones, running your fingers along the lines. The surface is rough and cold, but in the moonlight the patterns almost seem to glow, as though remembering the hands that shaped them. Higher still, the path begins to break apart, splitting into jagged steps that rise through the mist. You take them slowly, steadying yourself on the stones, feeling the ash cling to your fingertips, to your shoes. The wind is stronger here, and with it comes a faint, intermittent rumble. So low you feel it more than hear it. You glance upward, but the peak is still hidden behind its veil of cloud, the faintest glow behind it, as if some quiet ember still burns there, smouldering just out of sight. You climb until the air grows thin, until your breath comes slower, until the ground flattens again at another landing. This one wider, marked by a circle of stones arranged at its center. You step into the circle and sit. The stones are warm here, as though holding on to heat long after the fires have gone. The air smells sharper now, like smoke after rain, like earth cracked open by something deep and unseen. You rest your hands on the ground and close your eyes. The faint rumble beneath you is steady now, a quiet heartbeat in the mountain's chest. You imagine the people who once climbed here, their robes trailing in the ash, their hands full of flowers and offerings, their voices rising into the wind. You imagine them standing where you are now, watching the city below, watching the clouds above, listening to the same hum in the stones. You wonder if they were afraid, or if they stood here in awe, trusting that the mountain's fire was both their God and their undoing. You lie back in the circle, letting the stones cradle you, letting the stars shift overhead. From here, the forest looks endless again, its black canopy stretching out like an ocean. The city is hidden, its terraces and gardens swallowed by shadow. Even the waterfall is silent from this height. Only the wind and the faint shiver of the stones remain. The clouds above shift slightly, and for just a moment, you catch a glimpse of the peak. Dark and jagged, a thin curl of smoke trailing into the night. It vanishes again almost at once, but you close your eyes and see it still, etched into the dark behind your eyelids. You breathe deeply, feeling the warmth of the stones below you, the cool rush of air above. The scent of ash and moss mingles with the faint sweetness of flowers still clinging to your clothes. You run your fingers over the carvings at your side, circles within circles, stars spilling out from a single point, figures dancing along the edge of flame. The mountain hums faintly under you, and you let your body sink into its rhythm. For a long while you lie there, letting the quiet stretch around you, letting the wind tangle in your hair. And though you are alone on this slope, it doesn't feel lonely. It feels full, as though all the voices that came before are still here, woven into the ash, into the stones, into the soft hum of the mountain. When you finally rise again, you stand for a moment at the edge of the landing. The clouds shift above. The stars glimmer faintly behind them. The city hidden below. The gardens and terraces waiting in silence. You place your hand against the nearest boulder, feeling its warmth, feeling its quiet, and then you turn, making your way carefully back down the path, your steps slow, unhurried. You leave the circle of stones behind you, but the faint hum lingers still, settled in your chest, in your hands, in the hush between your breaths. The mountain watches as you descend, its shadow stretching long behind you, its quiet presence steady against the stars. Chapter 6. The city sleeps. You descend from the mountain slowly, the path winding back through the thin trees and ash-dusted stones, the cool air warming again as the forest rises to greet you. Behind you, the volcano looms, silent now, its peak hidden once more by clouds, its quiet hum fading from your chest with each step. You glance back once, and for just a moment you catch a faint glow in the clouds, like an ember. Then it's gone, and the mountain sleeps again. Ahead, the city waits. The forest thickens as you reach the lower slope, the air growing heavier, filled again with the scent of moss and flowers. The stones of the path reappear beneath your feet, familiar now, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, and by yours tonight. You reach the plaza and pause, letting your eyes adjust. The moon has drifted lower, its light softer now, spilling over the stones in pale ribbons of silver. The pyramid rises before you, dark and still, its peak catching the faintest edge of light. The gardens lie quiet at the far edge of the city, their terraces glowing faintly in the moonlight, their flowers swaying gently in the breeze. The waterfall hums beyond, its song softened to a whisper at this distance. You stand in the center of the plaza, and everything feels slower now, heavier, as though even the stones are tired. The city seems to exhale. You walk toward the pyramid, your steps quiet on the cool stones. At its base, you find a low wall and sit, resting your hands against the worn surface. It's warm still, holding on to the heat of the day, even under the moon. You close your eyes for a moment and feel the faint hum of the stones, steady and calm beneath your palms. When you open your eyes again, you see the faint carvings along the base of the pyramid. Circles and stars, lines of birds, a single spiral flame. Your fingers trace them slowly, the grooves smooth and familiar now. You lean back slightly and look up. The pyramid stretches sharply into the night, its peak fading into the dark above. And though it stands silent, you feel its quiet presence, as though it is watching over everything, keeping the city safe while it sleeps. You rise and begin walking again, drifting through the plaza, past the temple where the whispers once wrapped around you. The air there is still cool, the doorway still dark, but the walls seem at rest now, their stories settled back into the stone. You wander along the edge of the plaza, past low walls and quiet corridors, past doorways half covered by vines, past pillars leaning gently into the earth. You stop in one of the smaller rooms, its walls etched with faded stars, its floor soft with moss. You kneel there, feeling the quiet settle into your bones, the cool air against your skin. You press your palm to the wall and feel nothing but stillness now, a calm so deep it seems to hum through the stone. You leave the room and make your way toward the gardens. The path dips slightly, and the scent of flowers grows stronger again, sweet and smoky and alive. The terraces unfold before you, layers of color and shadow. The flowers turn toward the moon, their petals glowing faintly. You walk down the terraces slowly, letting your hands drift through the blossoms, feeling their soft edges brush your fingers. At the lowest terrace, you sit on a moss-covered bench, leaning back against the vines. The tree at the center rises above you, its branches stretched wide, its roots curling deep into the earth. You close your eyes and listen. The gardens murmur softly, leaves rustling, petals shifting, roots stretching underfoot. It feels as though the city breathes here, slow and even, and you breathe with it. After a while, you rise again and follow the path back to the plaza. The moon has dropped lower, and the stars glimmer faintly in the black above. The air feels cooler now, and the scent of flowers fades into the smell of stone and water. You walk to the edge of the plaza and sit, your feet resting on the first step of the stairway that brought you here. The city spreads out before you. Pyramid and terraces, temple and gardens, waterfall and volcano, all wrapped in shadow and quiet light. The stones feel warm beneath you, the moss soft against your hands. You lean back and let the hush settle around you. The waterfall whispers faintly in the distance. The garden sighs. The temple walls hold their breath, and the mountain hums low and steady far above. You imagine the people here, sleeping in their homes centuries ago, their children curled on mats, their hands dusty from the day's work, their dreams quiet and full of stars. You imagine the voices that once filled the plaza. Soft conversation, laughter, prayers carried into the night, now folded into the stones, woven into the vines. You imagine the final night when they stood here as the volcano rumbled, the sky glowing faintly with ash and fire, and the gardens already blooming in the darkness. You wonder if they knew the city would remain, if they knew someone, you dash, would one day stand here, breathing in their quiet, walking their paths, feeling the warmth of their stones. You lie back on the smooth stone now, letting the stars fill your view. The air is cool on your skin, the scent of the earth rising faintly around you. Your body sinks into the stone, and the city seems to wrap itself around you like a blanket. You can feel it now, the rhythm of it dash, slow and steady. The city breathes, and you breathe with it. The pyramid watches, the gardens hum, the temple listens, the waterfall whispers, the mountain sleeps. You let your eyes close, and in the dark behind your eyelids, you see it all again. The stairway winding through the canopy, the plaza glowing silver under the moon, the temple walls whispering stories, the gardens blooming soft and wild, the mountain rising in quiet power above it all. You feel the warmth of the stones beneath you, the hum of the city inside you. It feels like it's always been here. It feels like you've always belonged to it. Somewhere beyond the gardens, the waterfall keeps singing. Somewhere beyond the plaza, the temple holds its whispers. Somewhere beyond the stones, the mountain waits. But here the city sleeps. And so do you. The stones cradle you. The vines drape over you. The quiet settles deep in your chest. The city has waited thousands of years. It can wait a little longer. The city lies quiet behind you now. The stairway winds back down through the canopy, its stones cool underfoot, its vines brushing softly against your hands. The path seems shorter this time. Your body remembers the rhythm dash. Step after step, your breath steady, your thoughts quiet. Above you, the volcano still looms, its peak veiled by clouds, its faint hum a memory you carry now. Instead of something you hear, the gardens fade into shadow, their terraces soft and wild. The temple rests in silence, its whispers folded back into stone. The pyramid watches from a distance, patient, unmoving. And the waterfall sings faintly, just enough to follow you down the slope. You pause once halfway down the stairway and glance back. The city glows faintly in the moonlight, still and silver, wrapped in vines and shadow, as though it's always been waiting for you and for whoever comes next. You press your hand to the nearest stone, feeling its quiet warmth one last time. And then, step by step, you descend until the forest closes around you, soft and dark, its leaves sighing in the breeze. The clearing greets you just as you left it, quiet and calm, the modern world waiting somewhere beyond the trees. But something has changed now. The hum of the stones lingers in your chest. The hush of the gardens clings to your skin. The mountain lives in your memory, steady and slow. You stand for a moment at the edge of the clearing and breathe. The city sleeps. And though you are leaving, you know you'll carry it with you. In your hands, in your breath, in the quiet between heartbeats, you take a final step forward and let the forest close behind you, the ancient city folded back into shadow, waiting for another traveler to find its quiet streets, to hear its whispers, to walk its terraces, to feel its breath. It has waited for thousands of years. It will wait still, and with that, you walk on.